Zombies can be so boring. Like, what do they even do? Groan? Fortunately, I upgraded them. With mods, I crafted Minecraft into a zombie apocalypse, and I will survive for around 25 days. Day 1 was a typical start in a swamp with a village not too far away, with me mostly borrowing their things and making wood tools. And when I went hunting a cow, it was, I'll let him live. But the other one, near the end of the day, I got robbed on the beach. Why is he so mean? Ending day 1 with the sunset and a few sounds at night giving fear what's to come. Day 2, a keeper wanted a hug, and I honestly hate hugs, so I politely declined, and found my first zombie. I had no reason to stay in the village, so I left west of the plains. Rain began to pour, and I'd spot a city, or the remains of one, along with an orca, and I'd take it as a last moment of peace before likely chaos. I was robbed again by seagulls and ran into a skyscraper. As night came, I would sleep. Day 3, the skyscraper had far more enemies than I expected, and I'd take as much as I could with the zombies coming as one hit me, leaving a sense of the others would come. And then something would happen I would later find detrimental to my survival. I would loot the cars and hear the zombies in the sewers below. I also found a ruined base, but would then notice a green tint, and my skin was green. I'd sleep hoping maybe it would just leave. Day 4, I couldn't have been more wrong, and the infection stayed. As it progressed, I only had one idea, since there was no better path to survival without cure. I respawned and had to deal with me, which wasn't too difficult. Guess even the NPC version of me is interesting. Day 5, I was fine now, but had made sure that I do not plan to get hit by zombies ever again, knowing that I cannot cure myself without golden apples. I had aim practice with the skeleton, and left not too far, finding a fortified village as a home for now. For some reason, the villagers seemed like they really liked this corner. Not sure why, don't ask me. I also claimed a horse stable as my home, and made it more toned for my liking. Day 6. Moving on. I made a mine since I planned to stay there. Not being too deep into the mine, I'd also hear sounds and would look for a cave, finding it not too shortly after. They all really liked this corner and I had to deal with them, but after one extremely tiny hit, I got infected again. So my time was limited and I would mine copper and iron down there, noticing a deeper part which I'll remember for later. Now, I could slowly die in pain and suffer, or do my plan I've always wanted to try one day. I feel better than ever after that. Day 7, I'd head back into the mine with the water bucket to reach the lower part of the cave. Other than the weird moaning, I saw the first of the new steel, which is for an armor set for later on. I went deeper into the cave, seeing more of the steel and ores in general to mine, and, sulfur. I went back up, making a blast furnace, and would properly watch the sunrise. Day 8, I left the village to explore for a bit and gather some wood, seeing beautiful marine life. I also found a ruined gas station that had more materials for the armor I planned to make, and some weapons. At night, I went back to the mines again, getting some more ore. Day 9, I was back above ground, going to a lake nearby and patting the heads of squids for black dye. Then I'd keep exploring, finding another abandoned city and a bunker, which I held off for now, since that was a later plan. In the city, there was a barn? Yeah, I don't know. Either way, it was connected to the sewers, so I decided to claim the sewers, but for a different reason this time. Day 10, still in the sewers, clearing them out, making it more safe as a way of travel, more than a home. Now, the second part was getting the villagers to safety, or down in the sewers, which they came down pretty easily. The night I returned, I saw zombie horses, thinking I could outrun them, and then one hit and I was infected. But unlike last time, I'd be able to make a golden apple and get cured from the infection. Day 11, I made an ammunition table, looking for what I needed for ammo, along with making a weapon crafting table. After making the two, I made my first weapon, along with the ammo needed for it. The night came with rain and making the armor set I spoke of, with all but the helmet. It would look cool if the crows would not shut up. Day 12, I tested my new weapon. I made a new tunnel in the mine going the opposite direction, hearing zombies nearby. After one extremely tiny, small, annoying baby zombie hit, I got infected. You know what time it is. The rest of the day I spent trading with the toolsmith to hope for a fortune pick. I went out at night to test my weapon and get sand for an attachment table. Day 13, I made an attachment table and would give my weapon a scope and find a cave below the village, which explains the random zombie sounds. Back in the mine, I found a geode, but then got a raid message. They were kinda a joke. However, not much later, the horde came. Apparently, I had like 100 iron golems, so I felt somewhat safe and let the zombies in, but misfired and hit one of the villager guards, which I had to, it was after one random unknown zombie, I got infected again. Do I need to tell you? Otherwise, it was just day 14, I got a water bucket and went down to the cave clearing a few zombies, but I had to leave since I ran out of ammo. I would return to the other section of the mine and would get just some more ore and, the whole time down there I was horrified and found a zombie spawner, but left it alone for now. Day 15, I went venturing again, going past the city, finding some type of store, and I was being too curious by touching a bear trap, but I did find a way to disarm the rest. Later, I found a ruined convenience store, but would get distracted when I was being bullied by seagulls. But I also was able to spot a train. The train had barrels and very interesting things inside, even a golden apple, but the apple wouldn't last long since there were zombies in the front cart, which infected me, so I had to use it. Day 16, I ran from the train since there were far too many mobs around it, and would find an old home and a hotel, looting them both, but I would also spot another fortified village. I did think about moving there, but I liked my village a little bit more. I would later watch the sunset on the beautiful lake, and taming a horse, giving it a saddle. Maybe I'll take him with me one day. Day 17, I fed the villagers for repopulation and made a diamond pick and went to go mine obsidian to make another portal. It was raining by the time I was finished, and I cleared out an area below my home, making the portal. I crafted some ammo and made the path to the portal a bit nicer before going to sleep. Day 18, I finally went to Nether, which while I was setting up an area, piglins jumped on me, which I found out they were actually infected, dealing with them and making sure my spawn was safe, but then my horse! RIP. I don't know. I put an item frame in the saddle to remember whatever his name was. I went back to the Nether after making the portal room more secure and would try to gather quartz, but the infected piglin proved to be annoying, so I stopped, ending the night making a rifle. Day 19, I made ammo for the rifle and a scope, trying the rifle on the piglins in the kill box, and oh, does the rifle feel good. I did return to the cave under the village to clear it out, and made short work of them with the rifle. Another raid would happen in the cave, but they all just kinda stood there, so... Day 20, I had the materials to make the helmet for my armor, allowing me to fully complete the set. I really do hate those crows. I would finally touch the farm by my home and would restock it since I wanted to get some type of farming economy going on in the village. Day 21, I struggled to get at least one farmer villager and tried to remove every job block around and would eventually get one with wheat, which would allow me to start an economy. Later on, I was back in the cave and made a tunnel down to hope for diamonds, which I actually ended up with 4, which would be more than enough for the enchanting table I wanted to make. Day 22, I found a spot for the enchanting table and maxed it out, enchanting my pick and some armor with okay enchantments, but I wasn't really in the mood for trying to get better ones, so I settled with them. I crafted more ammo for both my rifle and my pistol and headed back to the bunker for my end goal. I planned out a tunnel and would struggle a little bit, but get an idea of where things were and would connect the tunnel and the sewers together. But I would get dropped on by the zombies trying to yell at me for some reason, and I would deal with them. Day 23, I fully closed off the bunker now and made sure it was secure, later heading down to the bunker, not thinking it would really be that hard, until I got hammered by a zombie. It was annoying, and also a reality check. I would head back with my old gear and with water buckets to slow them down and have some type of better way of going down. At the bunker, I made an infinite water source and retrieved my items, going back down, securing one section of the bunker, but then panicking and getting folded like dough. Day 24, I awoke questioning if I should even keep trying, but I still went back to the bunker. I was able to lure the zombie me and get back my stuff, but now I'd play it very safe since I understood how unbalanced the zombies were, at least in the bunker. I found a weird way to get in the other spawner room, and I was low on ammo, so I tried out the katana, and it was beautiful, clearing the room with it and the spawner. The rest of the bunker was a horror show, and had an insane amount of loot, but power which I'd restore once I cleared a room. Day 25, I was still in the bunker and changed my armor around, along with having more golden apples to cure my infection. By now, the bunker was easier to understand and would keep clearing the rooms and restoring power. The whole first level would be clear. I'd had far too much stuff now. But I would get greedy and plan to head to the lower level, and I'd get infected again, so I would need to use the last golden apple. However, another horde came. Maybe it was a sign, but I knew I needed to be far away from here and cleared my inventory, running back to my village. Not sure where the golems were this time, but I'd do most of the work as the horde settled around sunrise. And I'd see now, the bunker was not as valuable as this village. It wasn't home. Home. An interesting concept in an apocalyptic world, isn't it? This entire run, I think I was struggling to understand what it meant, but didn't understand it was there the whole time. The village was safe, had iron golems, had a community. It was safe, away from the chaos. Even when I tried to conquer the bunker from the past and it humbled me, I didn't want to accept it, but when I faced the challenge of the horde, I saw that the village, it was my only home, and I didn't want to lose the one thing that made me safe. This was an interesting run. Way better than the last, but in all honesty, the worst part of the zombies is that the infection is basically gambling and their audio is deathly loud. It's horrid. But besides that, the run, I wish I could keep playing this. And maybe one day I will. But for now, I ended off protecting not just a village, but a home.